Hey everyone, Let's Lounge here. What we're going to do in this video is show you how you can use Final Cut and Photoshop together to create your own custom LUT based on the type of camera that you might have. So for example, I have this footage here and I want to make a LUT so that way I can kind of quickly do some basic edits to all my clips going forward that I use with this camera. Now this is going to be different depending on the camera that you use and the type of editing style and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to show you the techniques that you can use to kind of achieve this. And so you will need Photoshop for this, and this also works in both Premiere as well, but I'm going to demonstrate this in Final Cut. So the first thing we need to do is actually export a JPEG of one of the frames out of this film. So right here I just have this little part right here. It's just selective, a quick random selection here. And I'm going to go up to the top here and I'm going to choose to save current frame. Now if you don't have that set up, you can view the blog article that goes that's accompanied with this video, and that'll show you how to set this up here. But what this is going to do is actually just export a JPEG of basically that one frame. And so you can choose to name it. I'm just going to call it custom LUT, and for the settings I'm going to make sure it's just a JPEG, and then I'm going to click next, and this will allow me to pick a place to save it. I'm just going to save it to my desktop here and click there and let it export. Okay, once the image has exported, you're going to drag that over and open it up in Photoshop. So here we go. We have our image opened up in Photoshop. You can see we have nothing done to it. This is exactly how it came out of Final Cut. And so first thing we need to do is make sure that we have our layer locked. Most likely it will be locked as soon as you drag it in, but we want to make sure we have a locked layer here. Now what you're going to do is apply your adjustments that you want to this film. And so I'm going to do some very basic ones. I'm going to go do levels here, and you want to make sure you actually do these adjustments as adjustment layers. Don't go do these adjustments directly on this background layer. You need to have adjustment layers above it to actually make this effect work. So I'm going to apply a little bit of black levels here, some white levels to bring it up, to actually give it some contrast. Mess with the midtones a little bit just to see what we can do here. Then I'm going to get some saturation, and I'm going to just to give a hint of saturation here just to punch it up. And then I'm going to actually do a little bit of color balance, and we can play with that as well and just kind of get a cool little kind of color grading to our clip here. Nothing crazy. But we'll just do it right there. All right, so now that we have our effects, the type of effects that we want, we're going to go over here to File, Export, and go to Color Lookup Tables. And when we click that, we're going to get an option to name our LUT here. We're going to change the quality of it, and we're going to choose the formats of what we want to export. So the things you really need to pay attention here really are just the name. I'm just going to call it custom LUT. I'm going to remove the .jpeg there. For the grid points, you want to make sure that it's around 64. Anything higher than that will be a very large file size, and it might take a long time, or it might have a hard time importing into Final Cut or opening again in Photoshop. And for the formats, we have 4 different kinds here. The one that I would choose mainly is the cube file, and that's probably the most widely used LUT file. So just make sure you click cube. You can do the other ones if you want to, but cube is going to work for this specific tutorial here. And once you have that, you're going to click OK. And then this is going to ask you where you want to save it. I'm just going to save it on my desktop again. But what I like to do for all of the LUTs that I create for specific purposes, I like to take them and store them on a specific file in my computer just so that I know where they are. So I just have a LUTs file that just holds all the LUTs, and that way I know exactly where they are, kind of creating my own LUT library. So after you've created your cube file, we're going to hop back in to Final Cut, and again, this effect works in Premiere as well. You just need to use the Lumetri effect to apply your LUT. That works for Adobe Premiere CC, but for Final Cut, they make it really easy. You're just going to go to your effects browser over here, and you're going to choose color, and you can choose custom LUT and just drag that over onto your clip. And up here in your video inspector, you're going to see where it says LUT, and you can say choose custom LUT under the drop down box. So you're going to click choose custom LUT, and on your desktop you're going to see, or wherever you saved it, but I saved mine on my desktop, you're going to see where it says custom LUT.cube. You're going to click that, click open, and I already have one that I made, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. And there you go, your effect is applied there. So you can see we have applied the same exact color grading that we did in the JPEG. So if we were to toggle this on and off, this is kind of our flat file. This is the one with the contrast, saturation, and a little bit of color balance, color correction added. So if you want to mess with the mix here, the mix is kind of, in a way, a opacity slider. So if you want to bring back a little bit of the flat color or the natural color of the clip, you can bring that down, and you can see that it goes down a little bit. We can go all the way back to the original here, or we can mix in a lot of the effect that we have there. So if you want to make some adjustments here, you can actually go into your regular color board and start making more adjustments if you wanted to, or you can create another LUT and import that into Final Cut and just have a bunch of LUTs that will kind of affect your video and help you with color grading in the future. All right, thank you for joining me in this quick little tutorial on how to create your own custom LUT in Final Cut and Photoshop. But again, this effect works for most editors out there. Thank you for joining me in this video. See you in the next one.